Thank you guys. Thank you everyone for joining our webinar today. Thank you for joining the rescheduled webinar as well. Today we're going to kick it off talking about our NinjaOne and the CyberDrain Improved Partner Portal, aka CIPP integration. So as you can see, we have Luke and Kelvin to join us, but we can get going here. So you have myself. My name is Nick. I'm the product marketing manager here at NinjaOne. We have Luke, senior product lead, and of course we have Kelvin, founder of CIPP. So we're gonna go over a little bit of an agenda here. This is kind of what we're gonna walk through today. I'm gonna hand it off to these two in a minute, but we're gonna talk about, hand it over to Kelvin to discuss, or maybe to some introduce the CyberDrain Improved Partner Portal. I'll let Luke and Kelvin talk a little bit more about NinjaOne and CIPP together, what this integration is. Luke will walk you through a demo of the integration. And then what we'll do, since a lot of this integration is visual, we're going to be switching a little bit back and forth between the slides and the integration itself, but we'll also go over some real world scenarios. Luke will walk you through those, and then we'll talk about some advanced scenarios capabilities as well. And we'll end with an open Q&A session. Now, in a bit, I'm going to hand it over to these two. They're going to walk through most of the presentation. Feel free to throw any questions into the chat, into the Q&A section as well. And at the end, when we get to the Q&A section, I'll kind of go back and I'll read over some of the questions and get them answered for you guys. So first, I want to hand it over to Kelvin and kick it off.
Awesome. So I'm going to do a little bit of history on what CIPP is exactly. How it got created, because this project is the entire point of the CyberDrain Improved Partner Portal was to improve things for MSPs all around the world. So a little bit of a history lesson. About 3 years ago, I started CIPP as a hobby project. I created it with what's called spike-driven development. I saw that no one else was creating anything like this. MSPs needed it. I couldn't get my hands on it at my own MSP. I run an MSP currently, and I needed something to start managing M365 in the way that we all need to manage M365. So I created the CyberDrain Improved Partner Portal. It took me about 3 weekends. In the first month, we already had 100 users. Luke was one of the original contributors, together with Gavin Stone, also at NinjaOne. And we just started developing the product more and more, expanding it to up until the product that it is today, which is a product used by 4,400 MSPs worldwide. So I'm hoping to reach 5,000 somewhere like end of March, just because I really want to. So anyone that hasn't installed CIPP yet, go do it right now. And I'm saying install CIPP because there's 2 very important pillars actually, that CIPP is based on. Number 1, CIPP is absolutely free. It's an open source application that you can currently just go to the CIPP website, go to the documentation, hit the install button. It installs in your own Azure environment. That's it. You don't have any extra costs. You don't have any licenses that you need to buy, all of this kind of stuff. No, it's just your Azure cost, which is covered by your Partner Center credits for most Microsoft partners. Then secondly, we also have a hosted version. If you don't want to invest in the time into installing it yourself, maintaining it, updating it, all that kind of stuff, then just install it yourself, or get the hosted version. We install it for you, we manage it for you, and we make sure that everything is updated, and you get a lot of support. And next to that, we also have our support Discord, in which you can chat to both the developers of the application and to other users. There's about 3,000 other users in there that all can ask questions to any other member. So yeah, CIPP is designed to remove the frustrations of jumping through all of these different partner portals. That's the primary use case for CIPP. Just imagine creating a shared mailbox right now. If I had asked anyone here to create a shared mailbox, everyone knows the step. You go to the admin portal, then you click on the Exchange portal. Then from the Exchange portal, you click on the shared mailboxes overview. From the shared mailboxes overview, you create a new shared mailbox, but you first have to fill in like 20 fields. And it takes about 18 hours to get there because the partner portal is always slow. So all of that effort is removed by unifying all of that in a single portal. So that's what CIPP is. And of course, we have a lot of extensions into other products these days. We want to make sure that we collaborate with products as much as possible. And that's what we're talking about here today. It's the NinjaOne extension for CIPP. By the way, if there's anyone that has any like in-depth questions, also feel free to drop them in chat so I can try to answer them live. But yeah, CIPP is created to simplify all of your M365 management. It's not just management though. There's also a part where we do baseline and configuration. So we create a specific baseline using our standards, and we deploy that. And that means that across all of your tenant space, you can expect that the configuration of your M365 tenants is always in the state that you expect it to be. An admin goes in and accidentally disables the audit log. CIPP just re-enables it if you set up that standard and all of that kind of stuff. Currently, there's over 65 standards, I believe, that all allow you to change every aspect of M365 and make your portals and your clients more secure very easily. I think that's the introduction to what CIPP is.
Fantastic. All right, Luke, over to you.
Sure. So when we started working with Kelvin on integrating CIPP into NinjaOne, we really wanted to do something which is going to be able to take all the advantages of CIPP and try and extend it and enhance it as well, rather than just being something where we just rip in and put in like a link to the portal. We wanted to try and do something which would help build on top of CIPP. So one of the key things which we were like CIPP has to do is every single thing it's going off talking to Microsoft Live. So it's a bit difficult to like collect data from lots of different places and bring it all together. So what we did is essentially we're just running a job once a day, which is going to go grab data from everywhere, put it into a nice report and make it look nice, and then show it inside Ninja, as well as then giving you direct links into different areas of CIPP, straight into the Microsoft portals and different bits like that. So we do that per organization as well as per device, and we also bring in, if you've got Ninja documentation, like full user details and license details. On top of that, we're also doing some compliance monitoring. So if a device goes non-compliant, it's going to update a field inside Ninja, so you can then have a condition which will alert on that. And yeah, that's kind of an overview of what we've done with it. It makes more sense when I show it off.
Sure. You want to?
Yeah. So there's actually like Luke said, there's an important factor there where we're pushing data into your NinjaOne that you're already collecting in other locations. We're just giving you a beautiful unified overview inside of your RMM. So that's one of the important things here, is that we're pushing that data from your M365 environment into the documentation fields inside of NinjaOne.
Awesome. All right, Luke, you want to start showing it off?
Sure.
All right. Share here.
Cool. So yeah, so inside Ninja, how we've done it is we're making use of the custom field system and Ninja documentation. So we have custom fields on the Ninja side. We extended these to accept HTML, which is basically how we can let CIPP push in whatever it wants. So we've got here, if you go into an organization, so I'm in Luke's testing organization, go into the custom fields, and then we've got 3 which are made at the organization level from CIPP. So this first one is just some quick links into the different Microsoft portals for that specific customer, and then links into CIPP to carry out actions for that customer as well. The next bit we've got is overview summary information of the tenants. This is where we're just gathering a whole load of information which is useful to you together in one place, where you've got a quick glance into a tenant essentially. So things like unused licenses, if they've got the unified audit log enabled, any block senders inside Exchange Online, if they're using AAD premium licensing, if they've got Windows Defender enabled, and if they're using AD Connect. We then show some high-level tenant information, so you can like quickly grab a tenant ID if you need it for something, see what domains they've got enabled, give you a quick overview of all the licenses in that tenant, so you can quickly see if there's things which are unlicensed, or you've got spare licenses. Give you an overview of the device breakdown, so seeing how many of your devices are compliant versus non-compliant, what OSs make them up, and how many have been online and offline in the last 30 days. It would show CIPP standards. In my test instance, I just realized I forgot to set up any standards, so there aren't any here. But it will also list out any of the standards that Kelvin was talking about, where you've done like your global policies. It will list out all the ones that are getting applied for that tenant. We're bringing in some secure score information, so giving you your current score and then giving you the top 5 most impactful changes you can make to that tenant. And then we're just showing some user detail overview. And then the third field that we're bringing in at the organization level, that's a user information overview. So you can see you get the username and their principal name, what licenses are assigned to them. It will show you how much of their mailbox they're using and how much OneDrive they're using. It will list out any devices they've logged in, and I believe it's the last 30 days. Link them to Ninja if it can match them. Also show you the device compliance status and the OS, and show the last login date for that user to that device. Then you can link straight to the user inside CIPP or the user inside Entra ID. So from here, we can jump into look at our device. So at the device, again, we can go into custom fields here, and we got a couple of fields again for the device level. So we've got the links here to take you to see the device in Entra ID or Intune, or view all devices in CIPP. We then show a high-level device summary, so an overlook of the device status, seeing if it's compliant or not, looking at the serial number it's pulled out, and then things like the model and manufacturer that Microsoft thinks it's called, which can be useful if you're trying to enroll it in Autopilot through the partner portal, and you need to know the exact manufacturer and model, which is always a guessing game. And then show some information around how it's been enrolled, so if it's joined, if it's registered, that kind of thing. We'll then also show the compliance policies. So what ones have essentially been applied to this device and whether they're compliant or not. So you can see this one's got a require encryption and it's non-compliant, and then list out any device groups. So this is what everyone will get just using Core Ninja. If you've got, one last thing I forgot here is we're also writing in the compliance status to just a text field here. So you can then set up a condition inside Ninja, which will be monitoring on that. So if you look here, it's non-compliant. So I've just got an alert's been triggered off that. So this is the core things that everyone gets from just Core Ninja. If you've also got Ninja documentation, what we then do is start to build up some relations and add in things through documentation. So as you can see, this user, Alex, is logged onto this device, so we can then hop into this users page. This is created as an apps and services document, so it synchronizes all the users over here. In here, we're putting in, again, links to be able to hop straight to see that user in the different portals, or see the user inside CIPP. Get some like detailed information on their mailbox usage and mailbox settings, see any assigned conditional access policies, and then list out any of their devices and any of the groups they're in, and then just tracking the user ID and UPN. And then the last thing that we're linking in and synchronizing is the Microsoft 365 licenses for the tenant. So we can see this user's got 3 licenses assigned. We can hop in and look at the E5 license, see which subscriptions make up that license. So if you got it from multiple different places, you can see like when each one's renewing and where it's coming from, how many are used and how many is total for the tenant. See the individual plans which make up that license, and then show the date that the license was assigned to specific users as well in here. So that's a high-level overview of what the integration does at the moment. Let me stop sharing and pass back to Nick.
It's important what Luke said at the moment, because like we at CIPP have a very rapid development pace. I mean, that's trying to downplay it a little, because every 2 weeks we have a new release. But that also means that every 2 weeks we look at the extensions and go like, hey, what is cool to implement now? So currently we're looking at some things for Ninja RMM or NinjaOne on how to push specific data in there about a device, like has it been autopilot installed or not, so that you can actually create a report based on, hey, how many of my devices have been installed via autopilot and how many have I installed normally, and all of this kind of stuff. So all of this, the integration gets updates with our regular release cycle. At the moment, we see something that makes sense. So you get more and more RMM capabilities pushed into, or more and more capabilities pushed into your RMM by CIPP every couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelvin. Thank you, Luke. So we're going to do a little bit of switching right here. So we're going to go over, I'll read off kind of 4 quick real world use cases that we worked on. I'll hand it back over to Luke. He'll walk you through these 4. We'll end with some kind of advanced use cases, some advanced capabilities, and then we'll jump right into the Q&A section. I see the chat in the Q&A section's got a lot of questions in there. So
Yeah.
we'll show off a little bit more, and then we'll give you the rest of the time to answer some questions for you. So we have 4 scenarios that the NinjaOne and CIPP integration can expedite. The first use case is going to be a user can't send an email. You know, obviously the overall question here for these 4 is how can you use this integration to solve the scenario? So the first one will be user can't send an email, right? They're having difficulty. The second one is going to be new user creation. The third is going to be monitoring Intune compliance statuses. And the fourth, user has incorrect assigned licenses. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Luke quick to walk through. Luke, let me know if you need me to to let you know which use case to jump over to as well.
I got them up on my other screen, so it should be good.
All right,
Fingers
perfect.
crossed. Cool. Okay, so the first one is, say we got a call in from a customer. They're saying, I can't send an email. It's super urgent. No, I can't even tell you what the error message is. So what we can do is hop into Ninja to their organization, go to the custom fields here, and we can start to check some different things for them. So the first one we can do is just come down to this user summary, see here, have a quick glance. Have they run out of mailbox usage? Yes or no? If not, we can then look at things like, for example, block senders. So all of these link to the relevant place inside Microsoft. So if we click on block senders here, it's going to open up the Security and Compliance Center. We'll be able to just quickly see, hopefully, if Microsoft decides to work. There we go. See if they've been sent too many spam emails and put on the restricted list. He'd be able to just remove them. If that's still the case, we can then hop into the user record inside here, have a quick check. Come through here again, just see in more detail their mailbox details and usage. Come down here and look at actual mail settings to see, like, make sure someone hasn't turned off like MAPI or EWS for them to block them from actually being able to log in and do anything. And from there, if that's still not happening, we can go into CIPP itself, hop into the view user page, and then drill into the real-time information of exactly what's going on with that user. Or we can hop from that user into any of the various different Microsoft portals to drill in a bit deeper. So yes, we go back to CIPP. So yeah, so here's the CIPP view user thing where you get that real-time view of it. The Ninja side of data, we're only updating once a day, so it could be up to 24 hours out of date. But the CIPP will always give you the real-time view of everything. And yeah, I think that's about it for how you could use that to look at a user having problems with emails. Have you got anything else you can think of that could be useful, Kelvin?
Well, if you scroll down a little, you can also see all the quotas for the specific user. So one of the cool things is that we actually collect the current statistics, and in the sidebar here, you see that this user isn't using anything. We don't just collect that and say like, oh, this mailbox should be 100 gigabytes. We actually check like, what is the actual quota for this mailbox? Because in some situations, you have a frontline worker that only has a 1 gigabyte mailbox. And if they're full, you can immediately see that from this overview page.
Cool. So the next scenario we got is just wanting to create a new user. So tickets come in, I want to create a user. How can we help with that? So essentially what we're going to be doing is, this is something you've been accomplishing mainly with CIPP. We just make it as easy as possible for you to try and get there. So again, you can go to the organization you want, go to custom fields, and then in the CIPP actions, we just got an option straight away to create a user. So that's going to take you into CIPP, set you to be in the relevant organization where that user that you've asked to create is. And then you can do the actual creation through CIPP. So CIPP's got the power to where you can enter all their normal details. You can also choose to just copy properties from an existing user. So we can take this user and it reproduce all their details, like their address and things. We've also got the option inside CIPP where you can copy the permissions of a user, which is something which has always drove me crazy when trying to make a new user in Azure, that you couldn't just say, I want to copy the group membership from this user. So you can pick the user, fill out any of the details you want, create it and add it. So Ninja's more about seeing the content, seeing like your information. CIPP's where you'd still be carrying out the actions to actually go and make changes in the Microsoft 365 environments, and do the actual like changing things and carry out actions. Cool. Yeah, that's the next one we got. So the next one is looking at compliance statuses. So I kind of touched on this when I was doing the first demo. But what we've got at a device level, so Intune's the integration is going to try and match devices that are in Intune and devices that are in Ninja based on their serial numbers. So if it finds a match, it's going to populate these custom fields for the device and just keep a track of it inside the CIPP of essentially which Intune devices matches which Ninja device. Where I'm saying that everything updates once every 24 hours, the exception to that is this non-compliant field here. So inside CIPP, we create some webhooks which monitor any device changes. When they come through, we basically check the device, say, okay, is this still compliant or non-compliant? And then we'll come and update this field. So it just means the aim here is to try and get this field to change in near as real time as possible. So you can then use your custom field monitor to just check and raise an alert if that does go non-compliant, letting you instantly see, well, you know, if you're using compliance policies and requiring a compliant device, it's always a nightmare when a device has gone non-compliant and nothing's syncing. This will just let you see straight away. So the other thing we've got is we'll also be able to see here which compliance policies have gone non-compliant. So you can hop in and resolve whatever the issue is. So this VM's basically not got BitLocker and turned on, so that's why it's not compliant at the moment. Cool. Anything to add on that one, Kelvin?
No, you pretty much cover everything that I always want to cover, so that's
Cool.
perfect.
Awesome. Right, and then the last scenario is, say we've got a user who suddenly they've looked at their invoice and they're going crazy saying, why is this? They've got a user their license they shouldn't have. We don't want to be paying for that. So you can come in and start having a look at what's gone on there. So if you go back to the organization, go to apps and services documents, and then go find a user or find the specific license. We can come in here, have a look down here, see are they actually licensed for it, and then check at what date and time they got that license assigned, and just be able to have a bit more information on exactly what's been going on with that user. What we can also do at the user level is, if you look at a user inside here, we can come into the document history and we can look back whenever that user's been changed to see a previous version of it, of what exactly they looked at that date and time, to see like what's changed and when for them. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Awesome. In the meantime, I've been trying to answer the Q&A stuff as well, because there's so many questions coming in. Please keep sending them in, and please keep sending them in chat too, because I like it when we have a little bit of discussion like that. So some of the questions I marked as answer live, don't worry, we'll get to that like in a couple of minutes.
Cool.
Perfect. All right, cool. So the last three here. So some advanced use cases, other uses for NinjaOne custom fields and NinjaOne documentation as well. We're going to hit on three of these right up front. Enhanced reporting. So an example would be like ticket time reports, alert visibility. So generate prioritized list of alerts, and then integrations with third-party tools, Cloudflare and Aruba Instant On. Again, I'll hand this back over to Luke quick, just to run over, and then the part everyone's waiting for, the Q&A. All right, Luke, off to you.
Cool. So yeah, so as I mentioned, everything which we're doing with the CIPP integration, we really wanted to make it possible to do for anyone with, like, anyone can do the same thing that's happening with the CIPP integration for whatever they want. So we basically extended, we've got a thing called WYSIWYG fields. What you see is what you get, which take HTML as an input. On top of that, we then added in some custom classes to let you do like things like making the graphs, using the Ninja styles, using like Ninja cards. If you check in the dojo, there's a document which outlines all of that and gives you examples of exactly what you can do. We also then added in API endpoints to support not only doing that with the custom field WYSIWYG fields, but then also letting you create document templates and documents. So the combination of these two things basically opens up the world to automated documentation. So Kelvin was probably one of the first people I came across who was doing this back with IT Glue a long time ago. But that's really something that's always, I've loved the ability to just have an up-to-date version of your documentation, creating as much of it as possible without having to actually do it yourself. Just having it always up to date has been great. So I've got a couple of demos here to show you. So the first one is talking to the NinjaOne API, pulling out all the ticket data from NinjaOne ticketing and generating some reports on things like time usage per technician, time usage per organization, which are your most popular tags and things like that. So if you go into the global overview, come down to here. So global overview is essentially just an organization which is used to gather the global overview, like the consolidated reports across every organization. In version 5.7, we're adding in API endpoints to also do knowledge base articles. So we'll be able to move those over just to have in the global knowledge base instead of having to have a global overview company for them. Yeah, that should be coming out shortly. So here's an example ticketing report. So everything just pulled from the Ninja API and then pushed back into a custom field inside Ninja. So looking at things like how much time each technician's tracked, pulling up like an organization summary of how much time each organization's used and how many comments they've had for that support, which tags are most popular, being able to then drill into an individual company, and we can scroll down to the custom fields for that, for ticketing in here, and then see an organization level detail here. So things like the tickets at the org level, which tickets have been used the most time for that customer, things like the tags which that customer's used the most. And yeah, that's an example of what you can do around ticketing. Another example we got is doing the same kind of thing with ticketing. So again, pulling the NinjaOne API, pulling out all the activities and looking at the alerts that are currently active and just presenting those in like a little easier, more parsable way. So if you look here, scroll down here, we've got an overview of all the active alerts, but then sorted by severity and priority, with a little bit of color coding and just showing you the output, and then a summary of all of them. So this is done at the global organization level, so you can see everything. Then at the organization and the device level, just sometimes when you've got a lot of alerts open, can be a bit painful to try and figure out what you need to work on first. It's just giving you another view of that data and to try and make it a little bit easier. So that's some of the things you can do with the general Ninja side. The next thing I want to show you is how you can start to integrate third-party applications. So here we can talk to the Cloudflare API and talk to the NinjaOne API, match based on cloud monitors that are set up in Ninja to try and find domain names. And then we can use those just to create some automated documentation for Cloudflare. So if I actually go to a company which has one, would probably help. So in here, we've got an apps and services document for Cloudflare. You can look at my personal domain here. So gone off, talked to Cloudflare, pulled all the details of the domain, made it look pretty, and then put it into a mix of text fields and WYSIWYG fields inside Ninja. So giving you an overview of how things have been set up in Cloudflare, showing things like the name servers, pulling out the DNS zone file information, pulling out all the settings from Cloudflare. Again, these all have a revision history, so you can easily track back and see what was changed when. Give you the export of the bind file if you wanted to import it somewhere else, and then also render an audit log of exactly what's changed by who and when. So this is all just done with a script. So I've got some examples here on my blog. So if you look at docs.mspp.io, under NinjaOne, you've got the different scripts to do all of those here. I've also got an Aruba instant on one, which I forgot to synchronize to my testing tenant, so I can't show you that one. But this is pulling out information on things like switch ports, the network configuration, your devices, and I'm just finishing off a Unify one as well. But these give you some examples of how you can start to do this automated documentation. The scripts are all there. There's a getting started guide explaining how they should be run to basically keep your API keys and things like that secure. So yeah, stop sharing that now.
Awesome. I love that you're using Gitbook for your blog.
Yeah, you convinced me.
Yeah, it's all our documentation inside of CIPP, another very cool thing. So even when you're completely self-hosted, you have a lot of resources available. Docs.cipp.app has a wealth of resources, including videos on how to do specific parts of the setup and new videos on how to do specific parts of the implementation, like standards and like what you should do first when you just open the app, that kind of stuff. So you can find that all at docs.cipp.app.
All right. Now for the Q&A session.
Awesome. So I tried covering a lot of the questions already inside in the chat. I marked some as answer live. Let me actually first put one over to Luke, because Luke, there was a question inside of the chat if there's any additional cost for the integration.
So for custom fields, that's built in for everyone. For NinjaOne documentation, you need to check with your account manager. I think it's free for 3 technicians, but you can probably just talk to them and arrange something. yeah, the custom field things, that's just available for everyone, and all the API endpoints included as well.
Yeah, and same on the CIPP side. No matter if you have the free or hosted version, the integration is available everywhere. So it's not that you have to pay extra to get the integration.
Perfect. All right, Kelvin, you want to jump into some of the answered live ones?
Yeah, sure. One of the questions was actually like a pretty tough one, and I always like answering the tough questions live. Can you touch on the security behind CIPP? Some questions I have with the hosted version. How does the CIPP support team have access to the instance? And through global admin, or do they have access for the global admin access to the 365 tenants? And if self-hosted, how does support work? So let me explain two things. Number one is CIPP works through a zero knowledge model. We can't look inside of your instance. We can see how many tenants you have or what tenants you have. We can see your information. We can see anything that you have in there. And to make sure and to absolutely give you absolute confidence that that's true, we also give you access to the Azure backend where we're saying that you can connect a SIEM or a SOC or a tool to immediately look at what exactly is going on with those Azure resources. So you can see who accesses them at what moment and who has access. We, by default, do not. By default, only the application has access to your own resources. Everything is stored inside of inside of two Microsoft environments. The hosted component is stored at the CIPP side in my Azure environment. That is just the software side. Authentication is stored in your tenant. We don't touch that. Authentication is completely your own thing. So we never have any of your credentials. We don't store your credentials. We don't have them. And quite honestly, I don't want anything to do with them. I want you to manage your own credentials. Absolutely. There was also some questions about security. We have a yearly, actually 2-yearly pen test of our entire code base, of which we make sure that we share the entire management summary of that code base pen test publicly. It's in our Discord chat. You can just download it there. You can see it, you can view it, you can see the comments that the pen tester has left behind. Sometimes they're not very kind to me because I'm officially not a developer by trade, but a PowerShell scripter. So they can be a little bit mean because pen testers are very mean people. But yeah, you can just check exactly what our security state is. When you're self-hosted, you are completely in charge of your own security, but you can still get support. It's the same sponsorship level for hosted and self-hosted. There's no difference in pricing. It's all $99, flat fee, no tenant costs, all of that kind of stuff. The $99 entitles you to support whether you're hosted or self-hosted. I think that's that question. Yeah, I got most of it. Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. Let's see. All right, you want to start from the, we'll start from the beginning of the Q&A that's open
Sure.
still?
Yeah.
All right. So first question is, what happens if client X has 2 separate Microsoft tenants, but only one Ninja org?
You haven't made any provisions for that yet.
Yeah,
currently,
you need to have 2 separate Ninja orgs and synchronize one to each at the moment.
We'll have to look into some way of merging that data. That's a very complex exercise. For now, I would really recommend to have 2 separate Microsoft tenant or Ninja organizations. Even if you only put all of your agents in one org, just keep the other one around for the M365 stuff.
Perfect. All right. Next question is, how often does this update? Also, can we trigger alerts in Ninja? This is from Nate.
So that's actually a very cool one because Luke was the one who helped develop this extension. And there's 2 different types of update. All the documentation stuff is updated once per 24 hours. But the device level items are updated as soon as the change happens at Microsoft. So for example, the compliance state is pushed through as soon as it happens at Microsoft. CIPP receives it and changes the compliance state.
There is also an option inside the integration where you can choose to do a force sync. So if you did really want to get an up-to-date copy of everything, you can just go into the extension settings and click Force Sync, and that will do an ad hoc or queue up an ad hoc sync.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Let's see. Can we increase the NinjaOne or the Ninja CIPP sync as well?
No,
So you,
that's
you can't change it.
so theoretically you could change the code to make it sync more, to make it sync more. I really do not recommend doing that. We have a lot of performance tweaks and a lot of things to make sure that the sync happens in a very specific way. I would recommend not to.
All right. Next question we have from Tim. Are Azure M365 rights necessary, or is the data available for simple service and support employee without specific rights?
I'm not entirely sure I understand the question, but I think the question is, can you use CIPP without having the support employees have Azure or M365 permissions? I think that is probably the question. Yes, you can use CIPP, and yes, you can access the data that CIPP pushes to NinjaOne without having an M365 admin account. You'll be able to view it. The moment you jump to one of these links, they'll need the specific permissions to view that data. So they need to be added to your partner portal or these kind of things.
Okay, we got a couple more live ones. Kelvin, if you didn't go over these already.
Yeah, let me actually just check because I marked them as answer live, but maybe we already touched on them.
Sure.
Oh yeah, one of them was, can CIPP or NinjaOne be linked to CSPs such as Paxate for license management? Not yet. CIPP works through a sponsorship model where we're trying to get the vendors to sponsor us. The moment that you do want that, contact your vendor. Tell them like, hey, we have this amazing application called CIPP. We want to make sure that we can buy licenses through that. Go sponsor them so they'll create an extension for you. That contact your account manager, talk to them, send them emails, send them our application, forward them to our Discord, all of this kind of stuff. And at the moment that we talk to them, it might be possible to create an extension and create something like license management or something like that. There was also a question like, hey, we're totally new to CIPP. What is the best way to get on board or set up? The easiest way, the absolute easiest way is getting the hosted model. You should be up and running in about 30 minutes if you do that. If you are interested in self-hosting or you don't want to get the hosted model, go to docs.cipp.app, follow the installation manual. It should take you a while, but with the installation manual, and if you follow every step, you're able to set this up in your own environment. I think that's the live ones that we still had.
Perfect.
There's one I just want to answer here, which is, can you find the user you use, for example, using the Ninja Find tool? So I'm guessing this is talking about the global search. At the moment, you can't use it in the global search, but we're working on it at the moment. So we're hoping it'll be sometime probably in the first half of this year. We're going to add in documentation, so you'll be able to search by the title of them into the global search, and for KB articles by title, and then we're going to do a full text search a little bit later on, but that probably won't make it into the global search. We'll just do it at the knowledge base level.
Perfect. All right. I think this is another one. It's probably for Luke, but talk about documentation templates and automated documentation. Is there a way to define a global template so all customers require the same data to be documented?
Yep, that's how all our documentation templates work. They're just set at your instance level at Ninja. So when you make a documentation template, that is available for all organizations. You can also set them to be mandatory. So if there's one that you want to get filled out for every organization, you can set it to mandatory, and then it will highlight it on the organization dashboard to say there's something that's not being completed for them that needs to be.
Perfect. All right, Kelvin, this one looks to be for you, but how deep does CIPP get into the governance of Entra?
Very, If you look at our standard setup, you can pretty much change any Entra session and any Entra setting. You can make sure that Azure AD is completely secure by not allowing guest access or disallowing guests to list things. There are so many things that we do inside of Azure AD Entra that it's almost impossible to list them during this webinar unless we want to be here for about 5 more hours. That's how many settings that we're able to change. It's insane.
We have, are there any extra costs of Ninja for this integration? We touched on this, but Luke, if you want to dive in.
Sure. So yeah, so for the core organization and device level, that's just in the core RMM. If you wanted the documentation templates and the users and license info and the related items, that's all part of Ninja documentation. You need to check with your account manager. I believe we give away some free licenses, but again, you'll just have to double check with your account manager because I'm not sure if that's entirely up to date or not.
Perfect. All right. Okay, we got a question here. Is it possible to restrict access to specific orgs by user or group? We have certain clients with additional access approval requirements that only clear technicians can access.
Inside of CIPP, no. I'm not sure how those permissions work inside of Ninja, so I'll leave that to Luke.
Ninja, you can restrict which orgs technicians get access to. I'd recommend doing it by technician role. You can set it so they can access specific ones, and then by default access any new organizations, or by default don't access any organizations. So it's very easy to set up in Ninja.
Perfect. All right. Next question is, are there any issues with enabling more than one integration? For example, turning on Halo PSA and Ninja?
No. Actually, I have several people that use both of them at the same time. There's even a couple of people that use all of our integrations at the same time. So the Gradient integration, the Halo integration, and the NinjaOne integration. It all works. There's nothing that should cause issues with one and another.
Awesome. All right. So from Jeff, seems to be a lot of options and information. What we've seen, what Luke showed are those custom fields, widgets, etc., set up by NinjaOne, i.e. a turnkey setup?
So you'd need to go in and create those custom fields and then map them over at the moment. We're looking at automating that process, but right now you have to basically go create, if you look in the documentation in CIPP for the setup instructions, it basically talks you through all the fields you need to make. So it's basically 3 WYSIWYG fields for the organization, and then 2 WYSIWYG fields for the device and 1 text. If you check the documentation, it talks you through exactly what you need to do. Other than that, we've kind of, at the Ninja side, we've just given the ability to do whatever you want in those fields with some limits. So if you check, there's a document in the dojo which outlines exactly what you can do HTML-wise with the WYSIWYG fields. But yeah, it's with the plan is we're just releasing example scripts to let people take and do with it what they want.
All right. Question from Matt here. Can we get a user provisioning workflow that works with AD via Ninja and runs AD sync if present, that finishes setup via CIPP?
Matt the Ward should stop using Active Directory and stop asking this. No, he's one of my friends, and it's a bit of an old-fashioned workflow. No, that's not something that we're going to make available. CIPP is always going to just focus on using M365 and M365 management. We're not going to focus on local AD. I'm sorry, Matt.
All right. Okay, a couple questions for you, Kelvin. Can I move from hosted to self-hosted later?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. There's even a backup and restore tool. If you decide I want to self-host now, you can move to self-hosted. If you do cancel your subscription, after 2 weeks, your data will automatically be deleted. And of course, when your subscription is canceled, you don't have any support. So people won't be, our support team won't be able to assist you with any questions.
All right. And then the next one is, what is the average cost to self-host?
It really depends on the current setup, and that depends on alerts and the way that you, which extensions you use and these kind of things. But on average, it's about $20 a month, a little bit under that.
All right. All right, Luke, one over to you. So Ninja documentation. Oh, Luke's typing.
Oh,
Perfect.
I added the link to the setup page. I put it in chat as well. That's the direct setup documentation from CIPP. We just link over to this page from the dojo if you need to find it there as well.
Yeah. I also saw another question. Why am I still using the competitors RMN and haven't I moved to Ninja yet? Yes. Why have you?
All right, let's see. We got another one from Andrew. Let's see. Is there a terminal access to where I could run my own PowerShell commands in CIPP?
Oh, this is one I'm passionate about. No, absolutely not. And it will never be there. CIPP is here to help you get more secure. And the biggest problem with making things available to MSPs is that they start using it. I am hoping that with the way that CIPP is designed, you will not shoot yourself in the foot. You won't make a mistake that accidentally gives you a security risk and all of these kind of things. These are all very well and deep thought out processes by MSPs that are creating creating the tool. So we're not going to allow PowerShell commands because otherwise there might be a risk of you insecuring yourself instead of making yourself more secure. And that's not the philosophy that CIPP wants to have.
All right. Let's see. Good. We got a fun one from Brandon. Great presentation, great questions. Curious what platinum records on Kelvin's wall.
That is from a friend of mine. I'm not sure if you guys know the company Huntress, but Huntress has reached 2 million endpoints. I am very close friends with the owner of Huntress, and he gave all friends and family a platinum record the moment they hit 2 million.
That's cool. All right, let's see. Daniel asks, is there some kind of demo access where I can play around a bit and get a feeling how the whole thing works?
No, there's no demo. However, we do have more and more videos inside of our documentation, so you can click around and look at those to sort of get an idea of how the interface looks, how it works.
Oh.
Nick did put together a walkthrough though of the integration.
For the GDAP migration. Yeah.
Oh no, Nick put through for the CIPP integration.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. Nick, do you remember where that is? Is it linked just on, just trying to find, I'll find a link for it in a minute.
Yeah. We could send that through as well.
Here we go.
Perfect. Yep. That'll be kind of a more or less self-guided tour of what it will look like. Some highlights as well. Okay, we got a question from Richard. You mentioned that the CIPP to Ninja integration can't do multiple 365 tenants to one Ninja org, but I have the opposite issue. I have a single 365 tenant, but multiple orgs for that customer. Is this doable?
Yes, because the mapping allows you to just select multiple organizations or a single tenant to multiple orgs. That is actually a more complex question, I think. I don't think I don't think we made a provision for that. No. It's something we can, that's something we can look at in a newer version because it should be pretty straightforward to do that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I haven't seen the ticketing side of NinjaOne yet, but when a ticket comes in for a user, are there direct links over to the CIPP integrations /365 info from the ticket itself?
Not at the moment, but that's definitely something that we're looking to bring in the future. Starting to surface all the I'm the product lead for ticketing as well as documentation. So it's absolutely something that I want to do, is start surfacing all that information directly in your ticket as it comes in, and just giving you that proper view of like an overview of everything that's happening associated to the ticket, just at the ticket level.
All right. Okay. Let me know if you two guys see any other questions we want to get to before we wrap up here.
Let me just go through the list again. I see that more have been added. Do you have a public roadmap, or can you share a glimpse of how you see? Absolutely. We actually do have a public roadmap, and we do have a 2 weekly sip and sip session where we're sipping some coffee or a cocktail or a beer and just talking about like what's the future for SIP going to be and zooming in on features. For those, join the Discord. You can find those in the Discord, it's easiest.
All right. Okay. Let's see here. Do we have to have all Office 365 tenants added as tenants under a Office 365 partner account to add to SIP?
Yes. Yes. We only work through GDAP, so yes, absolutely. You need that.
Okay. All right, I got one from over in the chat. Do I have to have a user set up in Ninja already for it to assign a device to them, or will SIP import the users into Ninja?
So SIP creates all of those users as documentation templates. So it will make the documentation template for you and then create users as that. In the future, once we introduce user custom fields in Ninja, then we'll just move it over to that, and they'd be just using native user objects in Ninja. Also, once we get access to, I'm waiting on the identity team, but at some point we should get contact or user access via the API, and then we can have SIP actually create the users inside Ninja. That'll be an option in the future.
Okay. And all right, we'll wrap up with this one, and then I'll bring in Andrew for our giveaway. But the first one is there a list of M365 vendors that work with SIP today?
Of M365 vendors, I'm not really sure. That's probably the license management and that kind of stuff. Currently, there's none. We're not working with any vendors such as Pax8 or ShareWeb or all of these. However, we are always in talks with these type of companies. Remind them, send them an email saying like, hey, you want them to be inside of SIP, and or you want to have the ability to purchase licenses, and we'll make it happen.
Right, perfect. All right, we'll do one more that came in. As an MSP with multiple companies, will we have to purchase or have an instance of SIP to each M365 company?
Could you repeat that one?
Yeah, sure. It's the last question on the open for Q&A. It says, I missed the presentation, so sorry.
Yes. With multiple companies, no, you only need one SIP instance. You don't need a SIP instance per company. You don't need a SIP instance per tenant. There is one SIP instance. You use your partner credentials, and you can manage unlimited tenants to that. And
just to add, the 99 hosted cost is for all of your tenants, not per tenant as well.
Yes.
I saw someone else asking that a minute ago.
Yes.
It's completely flat fee. It's there's I do not want to know how many tenants you manage. I'm not interested in seeing that data. So just, yeah, it's annoying to have data because that gives responsibilities. Yes, USD.
All right, perfect. I think we answered a lot of questions. Thanks so much, guys. Andrew, if you want to pop in quick, actually before Andrew, if you want to come in, we also, under the resources tab, before we wrap up here, we have several different places that you can grab. So we have the Cybertrain Discord that's in there, Cybertrain website, our NinjaOne CIPP blog. We have the NinjaOne Discord, and then access to NinjaOne as well. So feel free to use any of those resources, and I'll hand it over to Andrew quick to discuss the giveaway.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Andrew. I'm the Marketing Programs Coordinator at NinjaOne, and I'm here to announce today's webinar prize winner. The winner of the Nintendo Switch Lite is Mitchell Matter. Woo! Everyone give Mitchell a big
Mitchell.
in the chat.
Mitchell.
Mitchell, please keep an eye out in the following days for an email to claim your prize. But thank you. Back to you.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your time. Kelvin, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for jumping on this webinar. It's been awesome.
No problem.
And
Thank you.
thank you, Luke, as well. This has been great. And obviously, everyone else, feel free to reach out with any other questions going forward. Thank you again for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. See you, everybody.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.